Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Nebulum Podcast. As a reminder, on this podcast, we talk about fulfillment and chasing your dreams, being on a path that you resonate with. And we hope to inspire that in people and create a more fulfilled and happy world. I'm Zale.
I'm Grant.
And this is the Nebulum Podcast. All right. What's the topic today?
All right, so the topic today, we briefly mentioned it on the end of last week's episode, and that is becoming a jack of all trades. So I kind of mentioned like having all these different things that I like to do and like wanting to grow in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about simplicity last time, which was kind of like, shrinking down the amount of things that we do so we can do them with more quality. But now we're kind of bringing back in the doing multiple things, but doing them all with quality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember you had some brief thoughts on it. I know but basically this episode, we wanted to go in more detail on the practice of being a jack of all trades, or like being a hybrid, being skilled in multiple areas.
Yeah.
Because maybe what makes you fulfilled is not just being like really good at just one small thing, but being like pretty good across different things. And then you can synthesize and, those things can like inform each other.
I'm curious, what's your experience with this?
Well, that's a great question. So I guess my experience with this, why I wanted to talk about it was because I guess I'm interested in many different things and I want to, grow in all of them. And like, personally, I am more drawn to like doing multiple things rather than just like zoning into one specific specialized area.
Mm.
So like I play multiple different sports and I feel like that's like a good starting point is I like sports and I like a lot of different sports.
Mm-hmm.
So like while maybe one person might specialize in just one, I like doing a lot of different ones. And I'm not gonna say like I'm the best at any one of them, but I would say like it brings me joy to be like skilled in different ones. I guess I don't know how to like start about my experience with this, but I guess I would just say that my experience is that I guess I like to cycle between things. So I guess we can start there, is that like I never felt that good with sticking with one thing and just doing it. I feel like I go through cycles, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
where like I do one thing and then I switch to doing a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I might eventually come back to doing that first thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I completely gave up. I just stopped for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I would want to start with that, as that's my initial experience with this.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't reflected on it that much. So I would love to do that in this. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess like one of the biggest things that pops up in this is like the trade-off between breadth and depth.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, there's a lot of advice out there that says if you want to be uber successful or whatever, you have to zone in on one thing and focus on one thing, one skill, one niche, have a more narrow focus instead of spreading yourself thin, because you spread yourself thin, you're going to do each thing in a mediocre way. So I think there's a lot of this narrative out there.
There's a lot of this narrative.
Yeah. And I believe there is definitely value in that, because of course, if, you split 50-50 with A and B, or, with cycling and chess, you spend your time 50-50 on those, or if you just spend all your time playing chess, you're going to be better at chess if you spend all your time playing chess, probably.
Sure.
Right? So I guess, and I've struggled with this too, deciding where in that trade-off to land, right? Like how much do I focus on one thing versus how much do I allow myself to have multiple different things? And am I okay with being a quote unquote jack of all trades or not? I definitely want to get deeper into my experience with it, kind of touch on what I was talking about at the end of last episode too.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm curious if you've had that pressure at all to focus on one thing ever.
I mean, we all have that pressure. Well, okay, I won't say we all, but I would say it's common because, I mean, even when you're in high school going into college, you have to choose a major.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, at least in my experience, I was like, I just chose like what I disliked the least. But that wasn't necessarily going to be my path like for the rest of my life. But it kind of does feel like that at the time. You know, you have to choose one major and that's your specialization. And then, you know, it kind of feels like a very important decision. But on the contrary, on the flip side, I played multiple sports in high school, and I feel like that is like kind of an example of doing multiple things. And I feel like I played soccer and tennis, and I feel like I did both of them to a high level. Like I'm not playing in college or going pro or anything, but like to a high level where like I feel fairly skilled.
Yeah.
Like more than most people.
Yeah.
So that I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
The other side of it is personally like, okay, let's say you do play chess all the time and like you do get better. For me, I actually wouldn't enjoy that because I think part of the growth comes from rest. So like part of it, okay, would be like, you know, playing a good amount, but then I actually believe the rest is just important. And that's where, you know, switching to something else comes in for me. That's why I like cycling between things because it gets, I get fatigued from doing like one thing for super long. So then it helps me to like be able to do different things. I mean, I guess I'll get into the pressure in a sec, but I also wanted to say like, I actually feel like variety is the spice of life. It's a classic like quote I've heard from someone else, and I feel like that I think variety is really important for me. I think everyone's different, but yeah, pressure wise, I do feel like there's pressure. Like, I think it's not common to see someone who does a lot of things well, and it's not in society, it's not like something you see super often. Like, I don't see many role models that like do multiple things. It's like, okay, this guy won the Nobel Prize for this small little niche of physics or quantum physics or what have you. Like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's common for people to be very good at multiple things. I see a lot of people who spend a lot of time doing one thing. So it's not common. And since it's not common, we all kind of feel, at least I feel pressured to conform. It's like, okay, I've had a lot of times in my life where I wanted to be able to just do one thing and just be good at this one thing. But I always eventually cycled away from that. And so I think I'm learning that, you know, we're all unique and that, yeah, that might be a path for a lot of people, but maybe my path is different. So even though I feel that pressure, I feel like now I'm kind of coming to accept that like, okay, maybe I don't need to be absolutely the best at this one thing, but why don't I just be very good at multiple things? And maybe something even greater will come from that, you know? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've talked a lot about resonating in this podcast, and I feel like doing a lot of things that are different and cycling on and off different things actually feels a lot more resonant for me. But I think it's taken time to like realize that. And you know, we're human and we want to like be like everyone else, but
yeah,
sometimes we have to recognize that we might be a little different.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
I think that's extremely valuable because it's not that we might be different. We are different. Like everyone is different.
Yeah.
Right. And so whenever there's blanket advice, you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Totally.
Whenever there's blanket advice, there's usually value in the advice, which you can extract and see how it fits into your own life and your own story and what resonates with you. It's very important to listen to yourself and figure out what resonates, what path really resonates with you, what path will make you fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's only you can know that answer. Of course, there's caveats with dopamine and being addicted to instant gratification and
Sure.
things like that, which you have to be mindful of if you're falling into a certain trap and you're not progressing in a way that you want. Um, but putting that aside for now, listening to yourself, I think, is always going to be one of the highest signal things that you can do.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, so I don't think it's very uncommon to see people good at multiple things.
Hmm.
Uh, we, it seems that way, I believe, because when someone is really good at something, you probably know them for that thing.
Yes.
You're not seeing what else they're good at, perhaps.
Sure.
Or that's just what's highlighted. When people do something great, that is highlighted, and then you associate that person with that thing.
Exactly.
Right. But I mean, so I got introduced recently to this band called Pomplamoose.
Okay.
They make songs and originals and covers and stuff like that, and they do interesting performance videos and things, and they're good. And I realized that the piano player, it's like the main people I think are the piano player and the woman vocalist, but the piano player is also the founder of Patreon, right? So he's a professional musician and he's a founder of a tech company. So he's good at multiple things. He's good at playing the piano and making music. He's also good at, whichever parts of the business founding he's good at, whether it's business or tech or whatever. I don't know his story, but that's an example of a person that's good at multiple things. And you think about back in the day, before our time, of course, the idea of like a Renaissance man.
Yeah, like the polymath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone is a sculptor and they're a mathematician and they're, a tennis player.
Yeah.
Or, that kind of thing. That's not uncommon. Because there's a lot in life. Life is dynamic and there's a lot to be experienced.
Exactly.
And of course, there's a path of hyper focus on one thing. There's also a path of not, so there's like the 80-20, right? If you get to a certain level in a thing, more and more time spent, it begins to get marginal.
Yes. And I totally think so.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to decide if operating in that margin is important to you. Sometimes it is, right? If you're trying to be the best chess player in the world, the difference between the two best chess players in the world is very tiny, right? The differences get very, very marginal. But if you're trying to be the singular best at this particular thing, then yeah. But if you're trying to be the best board game player, right, that's a different lane. And so you can't just focus on chess. At a certain time, you're going to have to abstract away what skills it takes to be good at board games overall, or abstract games, right? So then you're operating maybe in a layer of abstractions, and you become the best at abstractions in a sense. So what I'm getting to here is I've realized that you can choose multiple things and you can actually find the common thread between those things, and that can be a lane that you can hyper focus on. For example, I'm sure there are similarities between football, soccer, and tennis, right? That make you a unique player in both of those games because you play both rather than just one, right? If you're if you talk about maybe your intuition of physics and how projectiles fly through the air, you have experience with a small ball and a bigger ball, and kicking it as well as hitting it with an extension of your arm, which is the racket, and how it bounces off the racket versus the ground, and how to judge distances in this kind of an arena versus that kind of. So like those are more data points that you have as a unique mix of tennis and football, right? So I think that's an interesting area of conversation we can dive even deeper into, the mix and the common threads between things, and becoming good at that common thread.
Yeah, I think that's actually really a good point. I don't always think about that when I'm like doing stuff, but a lot of times, even at my job, I think part of what makes it meaningful is that I feel like I'm getting skills that I can apply to other areas of my life as well.
Yeah.
So like that feels meaningful because then it's like, okay, I'm not doing this thing just for this, but this is helping me grow in a number of different areas in my life. So like, I don't often think about that with sports, but when I do, it does feel kind of cool because like when you do one, that can enhance your playing in the other one. And I think that can even generalize to other things in life. Like, I think a lot of times I've been reading like anthropology books, and I feel like a lot of times reading those books influences like my views on philosophy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I do think these like having this Venn diagram is can be super interesting and like can give more meaning to each thing when you like see the intersection. You're like, wow, like this thing is helping this thing, and this thing is also helping this thing.
Yeah.
And so then you can have that variety.
Yeah.
And still have that focus on whatever is the overlap.
Yeah.
I don't often think about that hyper focus on the overlaps, but I think that is a cool way to look at it.
Yeah. 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 I think really the point I want to make here is it's possible to be a high performing individual at multiple things. It doesn't have to be one thing for you to be high performing. You can be high performing at multiple things, and part of the trick with doing that is understanding how this thing can help you with that thing, right? Understanding, and you don't even have to explicitly understand it. When you do them, you will intuitively gain all the transferable skills, right? But I think you can get even deeper if you do actually understand the common threads between the different things you're trying to do, and figure out ways to amplify that synergy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another example is like on the topic of dopamine, not engaging in as much, super stimulating content has allowed me to, start reading more. And now if I read more and I'm not engaged in all these like, shorts with infinite scrolling, then my attention can like be more there, and I can be able to read longer. So my habit of not scrolling can actually help me to improve my habit of reading. And then that habit of reading can improve my habit of focus at work. And then that focus focus is a very generalizable skill. So I think that's a really good example, honestly, in my own life that I feel like that has happened. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was the 80-20 rule. I strongly believe in like the 80-20 rule, where like I can spend 20% of my time to get 80% of the impact or 80% of the benefit. So I feel like I don't believe in just like banging my head against the wall. I believe in like, okay, listening to my body. Let's say I'm working out. As long as I did like, I feel like with 20% of the time that maybe some like super, I guess what I'm saying is I like to be efficient. So like instead of, doing isolation exercises, if I just do compound lifts, I can spend 20% of the time, but get 80% of the benefit versus if I was just like being very inefficient and just trying to work on one muscle group. And I feel like I apply that to a lot of different things. So that's how I apply this jack of all trades thing. It's like I'm not going to read like an entire book in a day, but I'll read for like 30 minutes. And that is enough for me to like get enough material and then digest it over the 24 hours and then keep reading. So I feel like that's just an example of how doing multiple things can also kind of give you that benefit, because you do the focused X amount of time and then you recover and like integrate for like the rest of the day. And then you can like cycle back and I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good technique for kind of balancing all the things, right?
Yeah, and then you're getting that variety, but you're still working on that meta skill that you might want to work on, that overlap between all the different ones.
Right.
And then you're not burning out because you are like, you're having fun doing different things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some people, they might like just doing one thing, but like I said, I think variety for me is the spice of life. So I like doing a lot of different things, and that resonates. And then that way it's like you enjoy your time. And like, I mean, at the end of the day, this podcast is about enjoyment and fulfillment. And I feel that path is very fulfilling of like being able to do different things, but they all kind of deepen their own experiences of each other. Like they all kind of connect.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me, when you talk about like the meta skills, of the previous conversation we've had about systems, right? And there are certain systems which are kind of, kind of upstream, which impact many different downstream systems, right? So if I want to do these three things, I want to be good at these three things, and I figure out the meta skill that would actually improve all three, I can focus a lot of my time on that skill, and that becomes the 20% that impacts 80% of
totally
being skilled at these three things, right? So for example, for me, the skill of, what do I want to say? The skill of presence, right? I think makes me better at a lot of the different things I try to do. It makes me better at making music when I can kind of let go, be completely present in the moment, listen to the music, listen to what I'm feeling, just be here, right? I write better when I'm in that state. When I'm performing, getting out of my head, just being completely absorbed in the moment, that, it helps get better at performing, at freestyling, right? In conversations like this, right? In coding, when I sit down to, solve a problem, just be engrossed in the problem. So I guess partly I'm talking about flow state, but the ability to drop into the flow state, that let me be here, that presence. I'm not sure exactly the word to call it, but that skill helps me a lot in a lot of the different things I'm trying to do. So that's one of the ways in which I can focus on one thing a lot and then impact all of the different things I'm trying to do. So it's not that I'm spending so much time on this and so much time on this and so much time on this, and then I don't have any time, right? I can find the high leverage things to focus on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think so. I have a similar experience where I think mindfulness or presence or whatever, I think that is like the skill that like will enhance all life.
Almost, everything,
like,
right?
Because your life is in the present, so the more you can be where you are, I feel like that capacity is like but it is a skill, because so often we kind of get caught up in like our imaginations, which kind of disconnect us from what might be going on, like the sensory details. But I really feel like, that is like the skill. And I've also been trying to practice it. And I think we have to remember it's a practice. but that is like the if you want to call high leverage, like that, just being present is one of the, it can be like probably the most fulfilling practice,
I believe that.
and it can really enhance all aspects of your life because now you're really experiencing those at a deeper, like in a deeper way.
Yeah.
And it can like improve your relationships. It can improve just your enjoyment. Yeah. I think that is like the practice that, and the crazy thing, well, the great thing about it is you can always practice it. There's no moment where you cannot practice being present. And I think that's what's so amazing about it. It's like you can always return. You can always practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very high leverage skill. Very high leverage skill. The other aspect too, I think for me at least, it's been helpful to come up with an identity that encapsulates the different things I'm trying to do. Right? So it doesn't seem disjointed. Because someone may look at me and think I do many different things.
Yeah.
I try not to see it that way. I'm actually just doing one thing, which is my life, right? But for myself, I view myself as a creator. And so I create music, I create businesses, I create. And as part of creating, I also seek to understand how other things are created so that I get better at creating. And so at a higher level, I like understanding systems, right? And that can come in many different forms. It's networks, computer networks. I try to understand the abstraction of how these different nodes are communicating. What are the analogies or the analogous systems in society? How do humans communicate? How do we communicate as individuals? And understanding these systems helps me to then operate within these systems and figure out how to create systems of my own, or tweak systems to weave a path that I'm trying to create. But it's all in the landscape of creation.
The identity thing is a really powerful idea, I think. Yeah. I definitely haven't been explicit about identity, but maybe it's more of like a subconscious thing. But getting explicit about it can also be very impactful. I don't know if you've had an experience when it wasn't so explicit for you.
Well, I haven't always explicitly had that identity or explicitly declared this identity as encompassing of all the things I do. It's a more recent development in considering this very thing of how do I synergize all these different things into one, harmony, basically. But I struggled for a long time with switching from this to this to this to this to this to this. But even just mentally grouping them feels better because then now I don't feel as fragmented, and then I kind of tell my brain that this is all related, and then I start to notice the patterns throughout all the different things I'm doing, right? Because creating music is also just systems of things woven together, right? If you're mixing and mastering, you're running these things through different channels, and it's just nodes intersecting, and this manipulates it in this way, and it's it gives you different ways to visualize different things. It's great when we're doing multiple things too, because and then when you see the common threads, you get to use analogies from this thing in this other thing. And that can help you understand this other thing better, because then you realize, oh, it's actually not so different. I already have a lot of the fundamental skills here. Yeah. Have you ever noticed that in any of the things you're doing where you have realized, oh, I'm doing this thing which is different from this other thing, but I can see an analogy here?
Yeah, I think a lot of times like when debugging or coding, I find when debugging, I've in the current system that I'm, working on, I feel like I find common patterns of issues,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm able to um, better like visualize or anticipate how this one thing affected this other thing, and then I got this symptom, and the symptom was what I found.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm able to think more like broadly in that, like, when I see the symptom, we catch the symptom, let's say
Mm-hmm.
this piece of data is not correct or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, whereas before when I was not as experienced, I didn't um I didn't have that experience to be able to like think about, okay, maybe it's not this that's the problem, this is the result. And so that, I guess, being able to now have more experience where I finally found that out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to like easily see that this upstream thing all the way up here was the real issue that caused all this downstream thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I feel like that's very often applicable to um, debugging problems in other areas of life, because often the symptom is not the actual where the problem lies. The problem might be much more upstream.
Mm-hmm.
I've found like, now if I take this into like sports, let's say, I found that if I don't warm up well and I like play a sport like basketball, I can really mess up my back.
Mm.
Um, and so it's not that the sport was messing up my back, it's that my warm up wasn't proper.
Mm.
And I feel like when I find that out, that's really freeing, because then I realize, okay, all I need to do is make sure I do this thing and I'll be okay. And then I can enjoy myself. So I feel like that's one skill that I feel like, I guess that's one way of seeing that I feel like has been a meta thing that has been able to like, I can use that mental model on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I like that expression, way of seeing. Different experiences give you different ways of seeing, and that can be very valuable.
Yeah, and when you do more things, you have more data to draw upon. I think often like we can also get very stuck if we just do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of a disadvantage of just doing one thing. And I see often people like, they want to hammer and like they don't want to listen to themselves when they need to even take a break.
Mm.
And oftentimes when we take a break, the solutions can just pop up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another great thing about doing many things, is that your brain is subconsciously working on that other thing that you're not doing right now while you're doing this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, like, it's still working on it, just like not consciously. And that rest from working on, I don't know, working out, that rest from working out and doing some studying can really, that variety can be super beneficial to both things. Because when you're not doing this thing, you're getting rest and your brain might be subconsciously working on it while you're doing this other thing. So you're getting that active work mixed with that like
Recovery.
passive like recovery work, which is still, giving you a progress. But yeah, all that to say, variety I think can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And taking breaks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this definitely highlights the value of breadth, right, versus depth. They're both valuable, because also the deeper you go into something, the more patterns you notice, and you might see patterns of this thing in many other places in life. That can also help navigate different situations and things like that, the deeper you go into something. And of course, easy to be highly successful if you go deep in one thing. So it's not that it's not I don't think it's that one or the other is the way. It's they both have extreme value, and it's just about figuring out your balance with it.
Exactly. I feel like they're both the way, and it's just figuring out, yeah, exactly, your ratio that works
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Because if you go too much on one, you miss out on the benefits of the other.
Yeah.
Too much breadth and you have zero depth.
Yeah.
That's not useful.
Yeah.
Too much depth and you have zero breadth.
Yeah.
And that's also not useful.
Yeah.
I think having a mix is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And that mix for each person might be very personal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way I find the mix is I go deep on the mix. Like I choose a set of things to have breadth with, and I bundle that into one category, and I go deep in the category.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, for me, that works. Yeah. Yeah. But some people, maybe that mental model might not work. Maybe the mental model of just cycling through different things and kind of spiraling, in a sense of you get deeper in this thing, deeper in this thing, deeper in this thing, deeper in this thing, deeper in this thing.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, sometimes I feel like identity can be very constricting, like finding an identity. And, maybe my mind just works better when I just go with what resonates
Mm-hmm.
and don't really label it
Mm-hmm.
all together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Different things work for different people, different mental models.
Yeah. And different things work for you in different times and different situations.
Exactly. Totally.
Yeah. Can use them all.
Yeah.
Whenever you need them. It's good to have a breadth of tools to draw from.
Yeah. Definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I mean, anything else to say about this?
No, I feel like this is a good stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we talked about a good amount of different breadth and depth. We went into sufficient breadth and sufficient depth, I feel.
Yeah.
In this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think my conclusion from this is they're both valuable, and you can be high performing with either path. You can be high performing going very deep into one thing. You can also be high performing in multiple things. And it kind of just depends on how you approach those multiple things.
Yeah. And it's experimentation, I think, to find what resonates best with you.
Yeah.
A theme on this podcast is, finding what resonates. So this is another thing to experiment with.
Cool.
What are our takeaway questions for the episode?
All right. So let me think. As you go about your day after this episode, thanks for listening, by the way.
You're the GOAT.
You are the GOAT if you are still here. Shout out you. But yes, a question I'd like you to ponder is, what patterns can you notice across multiple things that you do?
It's a good question. I kind of want to go in a similar question, and it's going to be, what cycles do you notice that you might be going through? And how can you notice and be in tune with those? Sometimes we can resist our natural cycles, but they're important. If we can learn to move with them, we can enjoy them a lot more. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Or night.